There's some benefits to eating a whole foods diet free completely of processed things that we are told are food. And I've told this story before, but one of the main reasons I ended up giving up on a ketogenic diet, even a clean ketogenic diet, was because, well, the presence of too much processed junk in the keto world. It was tempting. You can have an iron will or think you've passed the point of sweet things tempting you. But then you go to Costco or you wander down the aisle towards, I don't know, the cereal aisle for whatever reason on your way to go find keto-friendly cooking oils, like in those days, since I was keto, it would have been olive oil or something. And if you're at the right store, they might actually be on the same aisle or on an end cap or something. And then you wander past the keto section and you get tempted because keto junk foods, keto processed foods are everywhere. And finally, I stumbled so many times because, well, I'm human. They were tempting. Much more so than, Captain Crunch or something, because the keto versions, they were on plan. They were part of the diet. I got tired of it. Real tired of it. So I ended up giving up on keto and went full carnivore. And the one problem you're never going to run into on a clean, whole food, non-processed food, keto or carnivore diet is you are never, ever going to run into stories like this. Headline from Food Safety News. Product recall. More than 300,000 cereal and snack packages recalled because of metal in products. Now you might think, okay, what's that have to do with keto or carnivore? Well, this is affecting Catalina Crunch brand. Catalina Crunch is possibly the biggest name in the keto processed food world, aside from maybe Quest, who make those weird chemical protein bars that no one who eats them is going to lie to themselves and say they're eating something clean and natural. Just go look at the ingredients. You'll need a chemistry degree to figure out what more than half of those items are. Those aren't clean. But if you like them, that's your business. They also make some of the most widely bought pizzas in the carnivore space, or the keto space, rather. But Catalina Crunch is up there with them. They make keto breakfast cereals and cookies. Those are the two products that I'm most familiar with them. I offhand don't know what else they make, but they are a huge presence. I was just at Sprouts the other day, and I saw some seasonal cookies. These were like their ripoff of Oreos. They had a seasonal one. Mentally noted it, and then just moved on with my day. But they're huge. And now they have a 300,000 item recall happening. And it's for products that have an expiration date coming up in August of 2023. This is along their cereal aisle brand. The idea that you would get metal shavings in your breakfast cereal, that should be enough of a thing, enough of a deterrence to keep you from eating that stuff. This is something you will never run into on a clean keto or clean carnivore diet. Let's just say clean keto. What's an alternative to eating that stuff for breakfast? My breakfast in the morning, when I did clean ketogenic diet, Mediterranean-style clean keto diet, was I'd have a couple of Brazil nuts next to some chicken breast or ground beef with some bacon. If I ate eggs, which I don't really eat eggs because I'm allergic to egg whites. I can eat egg yolks now because I figured it out. It wasn't a full egg allergy. By going carnivore, I figured that out. But if you wanted to add eggs to it, you could add a couple of fried eggs, and there's a breakfast. There are arguments for Brazil nuts that people make. I won't make that argument for you now. I don't eat them, and I don't endorse them. I'm just saying what I ate in those days. You could just have bacon and eggs for breakfast. You could have a steak and eggs for breakfast. You have ground beef with a fried egg on top. You're like one ingredient away when you do that from a Moto Loco or whatever, the Moco Loco, that Hawaiian dish. There are things you can have for breakfast that are not processed junk. You don't need it. If it doesn't expire when you open the package, unless you keep it refrigerated, it's going to be processed, highly processed, minimal processing, folks. That's the key, I suspect, to a proper human diet. That when we went off the rails as a people in the Western world was when we adopted a processed, convenience-based diet. And so the Catalina Crunch here has got a huge recall. Let's get some information from the company who is doing this recall itself. From the foodnews.com article, quote, Catalina Snacks of Lebanon, Indiana is recalling more than 300,000 certain ready-to-eat cereal packages and snack mix packages because of foreign material in the products, specifically metal. According to the details posted this week by the Food and Drug Administration, the recall was initiated on February 15th and is ongoing. Folks, the date of this article is March 16th, okay? So it had been going on a month before this became public news. Recalled products were distributed to New York, California, Colorado, Iowa, Kentucky, Texas, Arizona, Georgia, Florida, Maryland, Indiana, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Oregon, New Jersey, Oklahoma, Virginia, Nevada, New Hampshire, Wisconsin, Connecticut, and online. Products have best buy dates ranging through August of 2023. End quote. All right, so your key here is pretty much any Catalina Crunch brand item made until with a use by date of August 2023. At least in defense for the company's name, I will say this. It's a good sign that their processed food is shelf stable only for a few months. If the recall was initiated on February 16th, it's probably because somebody opened up a bowl of poured with themselves a bowl of cereal or pulled some cookies out or whatever it was, maybe some of their granola, and found metal shavings in their food. You know, I've never had this happen where I opened up a pound of ground beef or pulled a steak out of its packaging and had metal shavings in there. Let me know in the comments if that's ever happened to you, where you pulled a piece of meat out and had metal shavings. I've never had it happen before I was carnivore and when I ate things like nuts, where if I opened a package of nuts from Costco or something and found metal shavings, you know, with those Brazil nuts. Never had that happen. I've never had it happen where I opened a package of non-processed foods and found the byproducts of processed food in there. So let me know if that's ever been a problem for you. The easiest way in the world to avoid this is to avoid eating that kind of stuff in general. It's something a lot of people don't want to hear because processed foods are popular for one reason, one very good reason, and that's convenience. It's the entire reason they became popular 100 years ago was because Americans sought out convenience. And after Americans, the rest of the world did too, because Americans are really no different than anybody else. We want to make life a little easier so we have time for other things. So we bought processed foods to save money and to save time. Fair enough. And I get it on keto. Trust me, I get it on keto. When you're on a ketogenic diet or carnivore, you do miss other things. In the carnivore space, we tell people to just sort of white knuckle it until those cravings go away, which is sometimes easier said than done, I know. But when you're doing keto, we understand, and a lot of people go and gravitate towards some of those cheat items, at least early on, to help make with the transition phase. I guess that's sort of the same thinking behind plant-based meats, right? The fake meats that look like meat and allegedly taste like meat, right down to being sometimes put on a plastic bone, but aren't actually meat. It's to help you with the transition to the vegan lifestyle. It's the same thinking. But do these foods have a proper place in a really well-constructed proper human diet? Aside from the occasional treat, I'm never going to argue with people about the rare treat, but I mean, as part of a regular thing where you're keeping a big box of cereal in your cupboard, is that part of a proper human diet? I've never had Catalina Crunch cereal, so I don't know, but I've had Miracle Spoon, I think is what it was called, and some of the other keto cereals, and I'll tell you from experience, most of them aren't that good anyway. Let me know in the comments if you've had Catalina Crunch and how it tastes. I don't know, and I am making no claims about the quality of their cereal in terms of flavor and all the other things that might make somebody buy it. But do you think those products have a place in a proper human diet at the end of the day? Or would we be better off if we just avoided eating that stuff entirely? Remember, running into this problem is itself a byproduct of relying on heavily processed foods. It's not a problem if you don't eat this stuff. If you avoid eating processed foods but at the times, at those rare times in life where you really have no choice other than to not eat or eat that stuff, you're not going to run into this problem. So those of you who buy these products, let me know why you buy them. I'm curious. And if you do buy them, check the dates on your boxes. Foodnews.com with this article. It's essential that we get the word out there to your friends who might be keto, who are not on board with the avoiding eating processed food stuff, and make sure that if you're thinking about whether or not you should adopt a more whole food, non-processed food approach to keto and carnivore, bear this in mind. you're never going to have metal shavings or that kind of a problem from your ground beef and your steak. Let me know in the comments what you thought of all this, please. Like and subscribe if you haven't. It does help. Sharing this on social media helps a lot too. I'm Anthony Stine, the Practical Carnivore. Thanks for tuning in today.